guys, it's Dr. Denny over at Fort Paws at Fulshire Veterinary Clinic, and today Ashley and I are going to be chatting a little bit about things that we can do to make traveling with your cat less stressful, both to the vet and just in general.
Why is it important to socialize my cat to its carrier and travel?
So I think part of what makes getting in the car with your cat and going to the veterinarian so stressful is because the only time they are interacting with their carriers is once a year or when they're sick for their, and for their vaccines as a kitten. And the problem with that is it becomes such a negative experience for them, and they only experience negative emotions when it's associated with their carrier. So we've got to do a better job at making the carrier, a happy place. And there's definitely some ways that we can do that. As a kitten, making sure that that carrier stays out, generally right where you either give your kitten its treats every day or right next to where you feed your cats. That's where my carrier is. It sits right next to my cat tree. Right next to the food bowls, and my cats handle their carriers a lot better than a lot of patients that I see, and that's part of how I keep them socialized to it. I also recommend, after you've gotten a new kitten at home, making sure that feeding them, for a few weeks in their carrier. Don't shut the door, just put the food in there, and they can't help but have a positive association because when they're eating, your brain's like, oh, eating, survival, this is good, right? And oh, I'm in this carrier. So we have positive association with the carrier. And then over time, we can close the carrier for just a little bit and then open the carrier. And we can move from that to, taking short trips in the car, just around the block, then back home. We need to do a better job at making it less scary because so many clients, and I understand this, you don't want your cat to be super stressed out and screaming on the drive, and by the time it gets to the vet clinic, we can barely touch it because it's terrified.
How can I get my cat in its carrier?
So this is going to kind of go back to what we were just talking about, socialization. So have that carrier out, feed your cat in its carrier regularly, put catnip in there, create a positive experience. If you have a carrier that has 2 openings, get a toy in there, just positive association. Tips and tricks, if your cat is not socialized to its carrier, then make sure that you catch your cat, in the morning when you're about to feed, that way, because generally for cats that are not socialized, they see their carrier and they disappear. And we get these phone calls in the morning about, well, everything was great and I pulled the carrier out of the garage and now I can't find my cat. Because they know it's a negative association. So we need to have these carriers out in their environments. It needs to smell like home. They need to be interacting with it. And if you truly are struggling, and if you're a current client and we've seen your cat before, we are more than happy to send home some liquid medication that you can give in the morning, and a couple hours later your cat will be much less stressed.
How can I make traveling to the vet with my cat less stressful?
So if we've already gotten the cat in the carrier and we're yowling, you can't hear yourself think, you're driving, your cat's crying, they sound so distressed and you're stressed, there's actually classical music that you can play in your car. Generally you want it to have pretty slow. There's music called For a Cat's Ear. Or From a Cat's Ear, and it is specific classical music that's made to help kind of calm them down. Also spraying something called Feel Away in your car. It's calming feline pheromone. We can't smell it when you initially spray it. Don't inhale it, it'll make you choke. We do that here all the time. I'll walk through a mist of Feel Away and just gag. You can't actually smell it, it's just as it hits the back of your throat, it just tickles. But that can definitely help. And then don't be afraid to ask for medications to help make these visits easier.
Can I train my kitten to like its carrier?
Yes, you can. You can, every time, get in a habit of giving your kitten treats once a day, and that carrier needs to be right there. Every time you give that treat, the carrier needs to be right next to that kitten. And start after you've gotten that, a week or so, then put the treat in the carrier to where they're going in the carrier on a regular basis, getting a treat, and we're building these positive associations. We're socializing these kittens to where the carrier isn't so scary, because if we think about it, the visit starts with getting your cat in the carrier. if we are allowing these cats to get stressed and stressed and stressed and stressed, by the time they get to me, they're terrified. And I am such a feline-minded veterinarian that I don't like seeing my patients like this. There are so many cats that we have that come in on medication because they were never socialized to the car, to their carriers, and it's such a scary experience for them. Whereas if we were to be able to start at baseline, if we make it to where this stress isn't ramping up straight from the house all the way in the 10 to 15 minute drive to get to the vet, instead, if we start at baseline, when we walk in the door, we're going to be able to get so much more done, have better physical exams, be less stressful on everybody, and also get you in and out of the vet clinic much faster.
My kitten cries in its carrier in the car. How can I help comfort him or her?
So I think food is a powerful motivator. So socializing your kitten, once again, I can't emphasize this enough, get them used to the carrier in a positive manner. Play that calming classical music, use the calming the feline pheromones, the feel away. Socialize them to being in the car after you've gotten over the hurdle and they like their carriers and they'll hop in their carrier to get their treat. Start shutting the door and make sure you're with them, and then let them out, and then move from that after a few weeks into just driving around the block and then coming right back home. These short little interactions take 5-10 minutes out of your day, but it'll make a huge difference for your cat for the rest of its life.
My cat hates riding in the car. How can I make it less stressful?
So I think by giving medications, you can call us and we can go ahead and send those home for you. We can work on socialization. Just once again, that's why we keep saying this in these questions, is we're emphasizing how important this is. Socialize your cat to the carrier. And yes, it works better when they're kittens, but that's not to say you can't teach an old cat new tricks, right? Saying new dog, but we're gonna say cats. But you can 100%, especially for cats that are food motivated, use that. Feed your cat in its carrier, and you don't have to go straight to it. Just put the food bowl by the carrier, then put it in front of the carrier, and then move it inside the carrier. And this is over a period of weeks, and the cat will start to positively associate with the carrier, so it'll be less stressful.
When is a good time to train my cat to like its carrier?
Starting from day one, when you get your kitten home from wherever you got it, shelter, breeder, whatever. That is the best, right when you get home, okay? Let the kitten out, let it explore its environment, offer it a treat. If you find that it's food motivated, then have that carrier right there. Keep it front and center, have your kitten interact with it, but starts day one.
How can I make my cat's vet visits less stressful?
So first of all, if it's a kitten, work on the socialization, just like we've talked about in previous questions. Make sure that you're creating a positive environment, a positive association. If you're getting in the car, things are horrible, play that classical music. That's for cats. If you can't find that on Amazon, just regular classical music, just nothing like, like Beethoven. Okay, we want like relaxing, okay? Think spa classical music, all right? And yeah, you might kind of maybe not be your cup of tea, but to your cat's ear, it will help bring their blood pressure down. It'll help distract from the road noise. Using the calming feline pheromone, Feel Away, which you can get on Amazon, just get the spray. These things can really help. And if it all else fails, we can send home some pre-meds that you can give 2 hours before it's time to come in, and that should make the drive much easier. So I hope this helped answer some questions about, how can we make vet visits less stressful for our kitty cats? Because I know a lot of times we don't see cats for years. They'll never gone to the vet, and the reason is because the owners think that it's so traumatizing listening to their cats scream in the car, and I agree. So let's start by doing a better job when they're kittens and getting them used to that, so we can be seeing our feline patients more regularly, which means we're going to catch preventable diseases earlier and be able to treat more effectively. If you have any questions, please give us a call. We're happy to work with you. Thanks, guys.